Welcome to the No Love Podcast, where we decrease the divorce rate today by teaching singles and couples alike how to experience love on purpose and not by chance. I'm your host, Edward L. Fairley, accompanied by my wonderful, lovely co-host, Michelle Larkin. Michelle, say hi to the people.
Hey, y'all. Thank God for No Love Thursday. That's all I'm saying. Amen and amen again. Won't be there with.
So, let's talk about that. What's going on? Because a few moments ago, y'all, she had me concerned. I was about to give her my wallet and everything, because she was going off. So you all right? You okay?
And these things, plus the 4 computers in my house, don't start binging, popping, and talking. I'm about to go ham off on everybody.
Oh.
But that's just part of that is just a little bit overwhelmed in a good way because I'm blessed. But also it's been a rough day. I got a couple of pieces of bad news about some things that people are going through, and not being able to have the mind space to kind of send them prayerfully, positive vibes has been a little bit of a stretch for me. So I did take a moment and pray. But I feel them. I feel their angst, and that's all.
Okay, that's valid. The phone, you gotta. I don't know how y'all do it. I don't do nobody's ringer. I don't do nobody's.
I know that's right, because I be getting him on telepathy. That's how I get homie. I'd be like, it's time to call. I should call.
Yeah.
Answer. That's how I get him.
Yeah. My wife, she doesn't like it. A lot of people don't like it. My mom doesn't like it.
Do you care?
You know I don't care. It's because I know too much. And what I mean by that is I know how these things were created, why they were created, and they are created with the mindset of creating habit. So because of that, I use my phone. My phone does not use me. Is the best way I can put it. I use my phone when I'm going to use my phone. I have phone time. So when I pick up my phone to use my phone, that's the time I plan on using my phone. I have people that are upset. Like I've called people and they didn't answer the phone, and they might call me like 2 minutes later and I didn't answer the phone. Why? Because I'm on my phone time. So on my phone time, guess what? I'm talking to somebody. And typically I'm prioritizing according to how I got voicemails or what have you, or text messages. And I'm calling according to that list of priorities on my phone time. So my phone time will be used on my phone time. And then there's other random times where I pick up my phone to utilize it. So I would get a call or email when I'm happen to be looking or using my phone, looking at or using my phone. So I don't do anybody's vibration. My wife and my mom, just like news. Well, what if an emergency happens? Like you just said, through telepathy, I feel like we're connected to where if there was really an issue or problem, we will be fine. Not to mention, cell phones are new, and somehow we made it in this day and age, all the way up to this time, or all the way up to cell phones, without cell phones, and we survived, and we did fine without them. So clearly there's evidence that we don't need them. We prefer them. We find them convenient, but that's not how I operate or use mine. So, but I hope that you don't let your phones frustrate you or run your life, because that would just suck.
I think I'm gonna have to confess that I do from time to time.
I appreciate the honesty.
I'm gonna confess that the workaholic, need to be connected, always trying to help somebody person doesn't filter sometimes and doesn't put some box around access. And really that's about access, right? So it's about having people having access and being able to tap in or connect. And I thank God for sleep. I thank God for walking, because when I'm out walking, I'm not trying to talk to nobody. And when I'm sleeping, I'm not trying to talk to nobody. But that leaves a good 20 hours of time that people might be connected, and that can be draining. So I'm gonna I think that's where I'm at right now. It's just having too many irons in the fire.
Got it. Okay. Well, don't make me come over there and extinguish some things.
You gonna put me in check? You know, sometimes you need a friend to check you, because that's one of the things I just experienced this afternoon when I was talking to my friends, is that they had rallied some friends around them, and the friends did this. They held them accountable and said, you know, this, we're here for you. We want to be here for you. We're gonna pray for you, but we gotta hold each other accountable.
That must be a thing. I literally got a text message 2 days ago, somebody asking could they put me down as their accountability person to hold them accountable to meet their goals, and they had spoke with someone who said that they needed an accountability partner, and I was one that they asked. So that must be a thing. Maybe that's the spirit now. We need some accountability going on. But yeah, I could help. I can talk to the people that's being worse if you want to too. That's fine. But it's better.
I'm stepping out of my character in my current position, and to be the accountability person and to challenge people's status quo. And I can do that for short spurts and be 100% on, but it's not a sustained thing for me, and I feel it. I feel the conflict, and I just need to I need to dump it. I need to go take a walk. I need to dump it. But this is why I thank God for No Love Thursday. Amen. Lovely, peaceful, challenging, stimulating break from the reality to, I don't know, the secret garden. But like this wonderful place where you get to talk about things that really matter, to be honest. Things that really matter. The relationships, the love, the why are you here, the what are you doing with the gift that you have, and how are you treating the people around you? Like, that's the important thing. When you leave here, the money's not gonna be a thing. The phones ain't nobody gonna care about the phone. Nobody's gonna care about, you know, how many jobs you had. They gonna care about, did you love them? Did you connect to them? Did you leave, you know, thumbprints and footprints all over their life? That's what they're gonna care about, and that's what we get to talk about on Thursday.
Well, let's do it then. Let's go ahead and give it then. Let's get into this topic. Today's topic is titled Consider. This is the
first time I got a 30-second preview. It was 30 seconds. It wasn't even like,
yeah, I gotta fix this because now she's the one that posts, so I have to tell her the title of it in order for it to be posted. We got to figure that out because I don't like it at all. I'm gonna figure it out because yeah, not feeling it. She's like, so it says fill in the title, so I need the title. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yes, the title of today's show is Consider. And that's literally the 3 points. Consider. Consider. Now, your question, which would be a great question. Matter of fact, I'm glad that you asked before you asked.
Okay.
Consider what?
You know, I was thinking, what are we considering 3 times?
So studious.
What are we considering repeatedly?
Consider what? So first, this is, if we were talking about the triangle, we'll be talking about the second aspect of the triangle, which is the selflessness aspect of the triangle. Okay, so for those who are new to the triangle, there are 3 sides of the triangle. The foundation. She's probably about to pull it up because she likes to.
You know, I am. I love triangle.
So there's 3 aspects to the triangle. So for those who are visual, it's on the screen right now. There is the bottom portion of the triangle, which is the foundation, and that's self-interest. If you need more details as to what that is, you would have to listen to the first podcast, which is called the No Love Triangle. But self-interest is the foundation of what we teach. Second portion is the actual selflessness, which is what we'll be talking about today. That's a relationship aspect. The bottom portion is dating. You're dating yourself. You're technically single, and you're dating yourself, which in turn makes it better for you to find the person that is a better fit for you. And then after that, after you find that person, the perfect person for you, you would go into the selfless mode, which is learning more about them, then transitioning to, because you've learned so much about them and you've accommodated what their wants and needs are, they love not just you, they love how you love them, which in turn makes them want to marry you. And that's when issues begin to happen, because you get from this place of, wow, we're married, we're great. But if you don't grow, you become boring, stale. The relationship becomes stagnant. And from that, that's where a lot of issues and turmoil come into play, amongst other things. But this is typically what prevents relationships from elevating and evolving to greater heights, because people are not elevating and evolving to greater selves, which in turn is why it's important to have the self-evolving aspect, which is the third aspect of the triangle. Today, we're going to be focusing on the second portion, which is selflessness. So she's going to remove that so you can see more of us, the teachers, and we get into this topic. So consider what? First thing you want to consider when we're talking about our respective relationships is consider what they want and are asking for. Consider what they want and are asking for. And there's multiple ways of doing this, and it's so necessary because people are seeking the ability or the feeling of being loved. And if you don't accommodate that, you are going to cause a lot of issues. And there's ways of doing that. One way I teach is by paying attention. By default, people typically who are not necessarily intentional about their actions, they haphazardly treat you the way that they want to be treated. It's just ingrained in you. They assume that I like these things. I like this way of being treated. So this is how I'm going to treat you. That might not be how you prefer to be treated, but the fact that they're doing it and you're in a loving relationship is kind of evidence that that is their way of trying to express to you that they love you. Now, it's up to you to speak and share that that's not what I like, but it's also up to you to pay attention to the fact that they're doing this for a reason. And the fact that they like me more than likely would be is because that's kind of what they want me to do to them. I know what's a very popular book is the love languages. So this is where we're talking about the whole touch, the feel, the gifts, all of the love languages that are spoken about. These are the things that they're referencing, and it's really, it's really as simple as just paying attention. And if you're intentional about the person that you're with, it would be easier to pay attention to that person. So pay attention to how they're treating you to better learn how they want you to treat them is one way. Another way is to ask. Ask. What is it that
I knew it was coming. Ask.
Just ask. Different questions. What do you like? How can I accommodate you in this regard? Am I falling short? Is it something that you wanted from me? Or especially when they're upset, well, I read that wrong. What did you want from me? Where did I miss the mark at? So that you can accommodate them that way. So that's a way to learn how to consider is by paying attention. But you need to consider what they want, and also consider, like, is that really killing you to do that? Because a lot of time we get like, yo, she asking me to do this or he asking me to do that. And it's like, really, in the grand scheme of things, especially when it comes to the whole love language thing. If they're asking for you to touch them, is that really a problem? If they're asking you to serve them sometimes, like, really, if you love someone, why is that a problem? If they're asking you to give them words of affirmation, which basically means speak life, be kind to them. If you love them, is that really a problem? also, if we're talking about just spending time with them, like, is that really a problem? So, or gifts, just loving gestures, doing something for them. Is that really a problem? Now, if it becomes financial, and we'll get into that in a moment, then it's something that needs to be addressed. But at the same token, like, let's consider like what you're really upset about, because that's what blows my mind about the whole 5 love language thing, and that's getting so passionate about, oh, this is my love language. If you only have one and you can only relate to one, are you really walking or moving in love to where it's a struggle to do any of the other 4? So that's questionable. And actually, the evidence that you might have transitioned from a place of selfishness, from a place of selflessness to selfishness, when it comes to that, is the fact that more than likely, the fact that you got into a relationship kind of says that you were willing to do those things that you're struggling with doing now. So the fact that you did it at a place in the beginning, you were in a space where you were fine with it, which more than likely was the I'm in love kind of space. And you've kind of transitioned to I'm into self right now. Forget you. What's in it for me? WIIFM, that radio station that we like to have on, which in turn cause our actions to have different motives, as opposed to just doing stuff with the intent of expressing love. And I see you touching your lip and thinking. So what's on your mind, sis?
I was just thinking, like, it would be nice if it was that simple, where you could ask what somebody wanted and they could tell you, or that you could pay attention and that they were consistent enough that the signals they gave were clear. You know, I sometimes get the privilege of talking to people who are like, I'm trying, I must have misinterpreted it. My heart was right, but the way I did what I thought they wanted, it didn't come across right. So I think there's some assumption made that it's easy. I'm not sure that it is, or that maybe there's a tip that you have that could cut through the clutter.
That's a great question. Excellent question. Which is why the foundation is the most important. Because the reason why it's hard is because 9 times out of 10, people don't know what they want because they don't know themselves. They don't date themselves.
And then that's they don't know what they got when they got it, because they don't know what they want. So they can't so they get what they want, but they didn't articulate it. So they're like, I didn't get what I want. Well, you didn't say what you wanted.
Which is why dating is imperative. Like, sometimes people don't date enough. And what I mean by that is, if you haven't dated enough, you haven't had exposure to enough things to even know what you like or don't like. And because of that, you don't know yourself, and you can't even articulate what you want. You just know you're seeking something, which ultimately is love. And that's what we're teaching.
Right.
But
you articulate what love looks like or feels like. It's hard for the other person who may be loving and trying to love you, but you're not able to either accept or affirm that it's being received. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so that goes into the second reason why it's hard. So the first reason is typically people don't know what the heck they want in the first place. You don't even know what you want. So because of that, you're getting a whole bunch of randomness because you're not even intentional about choosing who your mate is. So you're getting a lot of randomness. And second, your reaction to a critique has prevented them from wanting to give you feedback about something that they don't like. Go ahead.
A poor reaction can shut down a lot of stuff. Like, not being open or adaptive can shut down. Like, people just stop. And I'm guilty because I'm a runner. But running isn't leaving, it's shutting down. It's like retreating into myself. So like, if you don't at least open it up for a conversation about, I misunderstood, can you help me? And then, like, forget it then. Obviously that's a pain. We're not going there anymore. I'm fine. We're good.
Which is why
the wall. It's a little brick, and then just keep building.
Well, that's why the episode heavy lifting was so important. Is because people typically say, oh, I'm dumb, as opposed to that was dumb. What you did right there was dumb. So we own it as what we are, as opposed to saying, okay, well, that's not what he likes. It doesn't mean he doesn't like me. I just need to tweak something to accommodate what it is that he likes in this area or she likes in that area. We take it so personally, and our response says that, which in turn causes the person to say, I'm not doing that anymore, because our minds automatically they protect ourselves. They protect us. It goes into fight or flight. Yeah, doesn't want any hurt, doesn't want any fear, so it automatically responds to it and moves away from it. So if your response to feedback is negative or is rah rah, and you are going in on or telling them, and this, I see this all the time, telling them how they should have took it, as opposed to allowing them to feel how they felt, maybe sharing that that's not what I meant. People are literally saying you shouldn't have took it that way. That's not what, like, and that makes you not even want to share. Like, you're not even hearing or responding, like saying, I'm sorry that you took it that way. That was way off base, babe. This is what I was really trying to say. You say, well, you shouldn't have took it that way. That's not my fault. That's not my problem. Whatever. Like, it's really insensitive responses and chops over people's interpretation that prevents them from wanting to share anything else. So now you have someone that is internalizing things incorrectly, possibly, because they're not even open enough to be transparent and with you as to how they feel, because you've shattered their possible belief that you could be understanding to how they feel. So those are the two things. Some people cannot articulate what they want because they don't know themselves enough to say what they want. And the other thing is how people respond to when they ask for what they want. It ruins it. So that's twofold. So that is the first consider. Consider what it is that they want and they're asking for. And consider, like, is it really much that they're asking for? And am I really loving if I feel like it is too much, that I don't want to do that for him or her? So that's the first consider. The second consider, so after you've come to that conclusion, you know what? This is not that bad. All she's doing is asking me to do this, or all he's doing is asking me to do this. So it wouldn't be hard to do that. After you come to that conclusion, I need you to consider if accommodating them for what they're asking for is healthy. I'm gonna say that again slowly, because I really need you to consider this. After you come to the conclusion that, wow, she's not asking for much, he's not asking for much, I can accommodate or appease her in that regard. I love her enough to do it. The next thing I need you to consider is what you're about to accommodate them for, what they're asking for, or what they say that they need. Is it healthy to give them that? Because sometimes we're willing to accommodate our mates. I've heard statements, a happy wife is a happy life, or whatever. But is what you're about to accommodate this person with healthy? Go ahead. I saw you touch your lip. I don't want you to lose your thought.
I was just wondering if accommodate and enable are used interchangeably in that way.
Well, that's the whole reason for this. Is it healthy? Because if what you're accommodating them with is enabling them, then yes, then it is becoming, and that's why I think you all have indirectly heard me say, like, yeah, okay, so you found your quote unquote love language. Did you ever consider the fact that your love language is not really a love language, it's an insecurity? And if someone continues to feed that, it's actually making your insecurity or your self-esteem issues worse, because you need words of affirmation and you're trying to get this love
It'll never be enough. I'm guilty. I love me some attention, but it's never enough, because unless I give myself attention and go spend some time with myself, it's never enough. It's never enough.
So the question is, okay, I do this. Now, is me doing this going to actually cause a like problems? Is this a healthy thing? I'll put it to you, let me put it in a language that you'll understand. I have to counsel people who all their lives were abused. So now, in order for them to feel loved, they're literally looking for abuse. So now that you know this, and now that you know he or she is egging you on so that you can hit him or her, or you can talk to him or her a certain way to accommodate what they feel they need for love. Now that you know that, do you give it to them? Or because you know what love is, you withhold that from them and you try to overpower their quote unquote want with what they actually need? Or you accommodate them with something healthier to actually fill the void that they think they need with what they want. So I know, and this is where we're getting to a need versus a want. I was listening to my daughter talk to my mom several months ago, and my mom and my daughter were talking, and she was talking about, because my daughter has a mannequin and she does her hair, and she was saying she wanted to practice certain hairstyles or what have you. She said, well, why don't you do it with your mannequin? She said, because my mannequin does not have the hair texture that I would need for it to have to do the hairstyles that I want to practice. So my mom was like, okay, so you need a mannequin with ethnic hair, or hair like that's more like yours. And she was like, I want one. And my mom was like, so no, you need a whatever. And my daughter, she would not budge from no, grandma, I want one. Because in my household, it is clear, and I make sure it's understood, the difference between a need and a want. So my daughter's like, if you want to get me one, that's fine. But I don't need that. and you're not going to get me to say that I need it, because that is the want. And it is very often that we want things that we don't need. Is basically what I'm sharing. And oftentimes we get accommodated with our wants, which creates a bigger monster than you actually have come to me with, or come to us with, that is more detrimental, appeasing you for that moment, and really destroying you for a lifetime. So I saw you write something down. So what's your thoughts, sis?
I did. I wrote something down. I was thinking, what about if the accommodating is really forcing you to shut down or not share, right? Because the person, the way they want you to express love, say, the way they want you to express love is to basically agree. So if you agree, or you affirm, or you support, or you encourage, and all those things come out of love. So disagreeing, expressing an alternate opinion, just comes up as, then you don't love me, then it ultimately makes you shut down. And I know that, and that's, some of us are super quiet because we want to show love in a way that's accepted, right? Which is to be affirming, to be supported, to be encouraging, to be there for you, to, hold your hand when, hold your hair back when you're throwing up. But but sometimes you have a differing opinion, or you don't necessarily agree, or you're like, you see things differently, and it just comes across as, well, why are you arguing with me, or why are you not understanding what I'm saying, or why are you always so negative? And you're like, I'm just having a difference of opinion.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. So there's a couple of things that I'm hearing in that, which is why what show was that when we talked about I don't know if it was Alibis. It was a show where I'm like, this one is ministering to me. When do I have to give feedback or what have you? I really don't know if it's alibis. It may very well not be alibis, but it's the show where we're discussing how like when people share, like, are you sharing because you want feedback or are you sharing because you want to share? So that's why we have those different shows. But so it's hard for me to respond to that because one, you should never lose your voice. And supporting does not mean agreeing. So that's two different things that I need to respond to that with. Is support does not mean agree. and you should never lose your voice ever. But with that being said, and honestly, this if I was to change the name of this, it would be balance, because people always come to me for advice. What do I do? Well, hold on. What's going on? And this is a perfect example, because I'm following up with a but. If you weren't asked for your opinion, and now you're trying to share your opinion about what they shared with you about their vision or where they're trying to go or whatever, and your response is, well, that can't be done. You can't do it. And everything that they try to bring to you, you actually speak death to it when they're trying to bring something to pass that they are passionate about. You don't really have the right to do that. And that's not fair to someone that is trying to do something with themselves. While more than likely, 9 times out of 10, when you're that person, that ain't gonna work. One of two things happen. I've had a show about this too, so you would have to just go through, because we're on a show like 60 something. So you would have to really go through. But there's a show where I talk about, like, all right, so how many entrepreneurial events that you've had or endeavors that you've had to where now maybe they're saying, okay, I'm gonna need you to show me something, because you every other month you have some kind of, oh, we're about to take over the world, we're about to be rich, and you don't have any follow through. We end up in debt. We have a whole bunch of products or services that we've invested in, and you have not produced. So now it's like, okay, you want me to get this shot in the arm and excited with you when I've done that 2 to 3 times and it hasn't yielded us anything but financial issues and you going to the next best thing. You have no consistency, or typically is that person that has no drive, they're not doing anything and they're just negative. But at the same token, that's who you chose, which is why the first and foundational aspect of the triangle is loving yourself enough to identify the type of person to where this won't be an issue when we get to that place. So a lot of things that we deal with are actually fixing things when I'm trying to teach preventative things. But because I know we typically go into good.
You just say that again slowly.
So a lot of things that I teach are to be preventative things, but we end up having to fix things because and which is why we have these shows, because I know we're going into things without considering. So we're pretty much we're fixing things as opposed to preventing things, and so
it should be the other way around. We should be wise enough to go into relationship setting up preventive measures and a foundation for building, and not ignoring the signs of potential failure.
That's good. That's great. Excellent. I wish I said it that way when you asked me to say it again, but I didn't, which is why it's great for you to be here.
Listening.
So, but yes, we have to be mindful of how we're accommodating. Is it healthy? There's so many things that we do, like you said, we're enabling people because we're trying to appease them and live off of these crazy behind thought process. A happy wife, happy life. Okay, but what does that leave you if everything you do to make her or him happy makes you upset? Like it's a union. And you all are supposed to be living harmoniously together. So if you're bad, but the relationship is one, how is the body of the relationship operating?
Conversation earlier this week about you have to pour into yourself. Even if you're in a situation like you're saying where you're considering and it's causing you, is it healthy, and you find like it's not as healthy as you'd like, well, then that's your responsibility. It's still not their responsibility to fix that. That's your responsibility. So you can get in some time on yourself, fix yourself, then come back to the table and have another conversation. But it's not their fault or their responsibility to make you feel some kind of way. Am I right?
That most certainly, and that's the flaw in the love language. Outside of the fact that technically we have rebranded you being a Pisces or Capricorn or a Gemini or what have you. The fact that throughout the entire book it says you need to do this to make your mate's love tank full, or if you're operating with your love tank on empty, it takes the responsibility for your love tank away from you. How in the world can your love tank, i.e. your words of affirmation, i.e. your gifts to self, i.e. your touch to self, and then that could be physically or spiritually, but how your time with self, how could these 5 love languages, how can you be empty in any of them if you're doing them for yourself? And why people are adopting and jumping on, for the lack of a better term, these bandwagons of I can relate to that, is because it is an opportune moment for you to say, I'm not responsible for how I feel.
They didn't do this for me. They didn't fill my tank. So therefore I can't. Nah.
So basically you bought a car. Mm-hmm. You bought the car, put it in your name, and you complained about someone else that you can't drive it because it's not full. Does that make sense to you?
Not even logical.
If it doesn't, that's what your philosophy in adopting the whole love language thing is. And when you make statements like, he doesn't understand my love language, she doesn't understand my love language, because the only thing that you're saying when you say, well, he doesn't understand, is he's not doing what I need him to do for me. And the fact that you need it, that's a whole nother story.
That's a
whole nother show. But the fact that you need it is evidence that you don't have it, because we only need what we lack. You don't go around envious or frustrated in a buffet about food that people have on their plates. Why? Because it's accessible to everyone and there's an abundance of it. So no one's in the actual buffet upset about, oh my gosh, she has biscuits. You say, oh, she has biscuits, I'm going to go get me some biscuits. And so it's not until you lack that you feel that someone else needs to give it to you or that you don't have. Go ahead.
That's a good one. Rewind. Not until you what?
It's not until you lack that you feel that you need something. So anything that you need is because you're not giving it to yourself. So that is a mirror moment and say, hold on, I am literally trying to make this man make me happy. This woman make me happy. That's not their job. It's not.
That's a paradigm shift though. That statement is a huge paradigm shift because we have been socialized to believe that that's what a relationship is for, is to make you happy or to breathe the source of your joy. And it's a complement to your joy, absolutely, without question, but it's not the source.
The paradigm shift is the fact that if you feel that someone is not giving you enough love, not giving you enough, whatever that love language is or that attention, and that your love tank, quote unquote, love tank is empty, and you are saying that they are at fault for this, the paradigm shift is, again, if you lack it, that means you don't have it. Paradigm shift is however you feel about that person that you're accusing them of is exactly how you need to feel about yourself. Because the fact that you don't have it is the fact that you don't give it to yourself either. That's the only way you can be empty. So if you're going to go hard about somebody not giving you what you need in your love language, you need to be equally as hard as yourself, or as hard on yourself as you are to that person, because the only fact that you lack it is because you don't give it, which is why I come across as callous or like you heard at the beginning of the show. You don't care. I don't. Because
No.
whether my wife gives me love or not, I got love. I literally carve out time for me. I literally do things for me. I speak life to me. All these 5 languages I do for myself. So if she falls short, I'm fine. If she gives me, that's overflow. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, sis.
I'm trying to say that we're not solely saying you have to give it to yourself, meaning yourself satisfying. Life also involves going out and doing the things that you like to do, right? So you're not, if this person doesn't like to ride a bike, it doesn't mean they'll ever ride a bike. If this person doesn't, like to go eat sushi, doesn't mean never go eat sushi. It's something you like to do. Or if you want to involve yourself in things, it's how do you feed your soul? And don't not feed your soul because this other person doesn't feed their soul the same way.
That's good. That's good. And yeah, no, and it is seeking self-gratification. Not to mention those things, when we talk about, they're typically physical things. And anything that you need externally to make you happy, you're not fulfilled internally, period. And that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for internal gratification. And we're looking for it externally. And the reason why is because we can't see internally. We only can see externally. So it's very difficult to have a relationship internally when you can't see it. So we don't take the time to try to see ourselves. Do you know yourself, you, the person that's listening right now, you've never seen you? You're the only person that you've never seen. Now you can say, I've seen myself in the mirror, I've seen myself in a camera, but you have to trust that those are the proper reflections. Everyone else you've seen. If you were to take selfies or pictures, or people were to take distorted pictures of you and give it to you, you would typically, because we're vain by nature, pick the one that looks best and say that that's the real me, and you'd be off. There's been experiments done. You have never seen you. You're the only person that you've never seen. You really need to spend time with yourself. You have to trust the mirror. You have to trust the camera. You have to trust whatever. But I can assure you, your friends, your family members, or what have you, which is why we can always point other people's flaws out with no problem. We see everybody's problems but ourselves. But you've never seen you. Ever. You always look outward.
You only see yourself through the eyes of others.
Exactly.
The acts of what you've done. And if it's not reflecting back to you what you want, then there's some adjustments.
You don't understand how profound what you just said is. You just said, oh, that's so big. You said you see yourself through the eyes of others. So if the people that you surround yourself with have bad vision, how you see yourself is distorted and jacked up, which is why it's important to make sure that you are intentional about, for one, knowing love, and intentional about choosing who is in your circle of people that are your eyes.
That doesn't mean that somebody's going to stroke your ego, but somebody when somebody knows your heart and they can reflect back to you your own heart and know you, and if you don't like what they see, or you don't like the truth that they share, then there's some adjustment. And that's exactly right. That's adult. That's very adult. It's not a child thing.
We've done 2. First, consider what they want. What are they asking for? And we shared how to do that, the way that you do that. Pay attention to how they treat you. Typically, that's a very good reference point. And of course, asking. And as you stated, that can be difficult because if you have not taken the time to make sure that they know themselves, they can't even articulate that for you, which is where their frustration lies in the first place. They're still learning themselves and learning you at the same time. That's typically what the relationship looks like. That's where the frustration comes. Because we expect people to accommodate us with what we want, but we don't know what we want. And people are throwing spaghetti at the wall, hitting and missing.
Buckshot.
Exactly. So first consider what they want. And then consider, is it something that you can accommodate? Like, can I do that? Like, are they asking for much? Consider that. And then when you come to the conclusion, well, no, that's not asking for much. And if I love them, I can or should be able to do that. Then consider, is what you're about to accommodate them with, is that healthy? Because again, what people want is not necessarily equate to something healthy. And making them happy could really be making them unhealthy, making them worse off, making them a bigger monster than they came, or making them worse off than they came. So consider it being healthy. And then lastly, consider your priorities. Consider your priorities. Now, this should help if you have some, but notice when we say we've been gone for a while, we come back and we say, well, we say God, family, business. That's how we make the decisions. A God, family, business. But what I realize a lot, and it's not uncommon, is I'll put it this way. I have a lot of people who are in situations where they live with you, but don't get the best of you.
True statement. Hashtag 9 all day.
So why do they get the best of you when I live with you? It's a lot of people that have that feeling or that mentality, like, yo, and I'm gonna give you subtle examples, and I promise you one of them are gonna land on your foot. But it's the truth. I'll give a very common example. Mom's coming in from town. We got to clean this house up. My mom's coming in. We got to tighten this place up. Everybody clean up, tighten up the place. Hold on, wait a minute. So mom, she coming into town. We got to tighten up. I got to live here every day. Where did this motivation to get our lives together come from?
Don't want to get yelled at because she's going to yell when she comes in the house if it's messy.
Okay, so think about what you just said. So now what you just taught me is I need to yell at you,
right? I know.
So that I can get
learn behavior.
Our house in order. I'll leave that alone because that's touchy. We're gonna have, I got a whole bunch of kids, I work or whatever. I know where people will go with that, but at the same token, that person has to live in it. So that says your priority when it comes to me. This is a priority over me, and then I've been demoted. Let's do the 20-year, 30-year class reunion. Oh, I gotta lose 20 pounds. I gotta lose this. I gotta fit into this dress for this class reunion of people that I don't see ever.
Don't care about, ain't interested in
don't
seeing anything
care about me, don't whatever. I gotta tighten up so that I can present my best self for these people that I haven't seen in 20 years. And I or she is looking at you, get right for them, but let me suggest that you're getting a little heavy. Let me suggest that, hey, maybe
you don't.
Who did you make the priority? Oh, I see people that treat
them and they are the priority. Those amorphous people, them and they rule the world. Them and they. They do.
Them and they. You got your boss. Oh, I'm right on top of that, Rose. If he or she asks you, man, I ain't got time for that. I don't feel like doing that or whatever. Priorities. Again, we say God, family, business. Every decision that I make, that's how and technically, I don't say myself, but to be real with you and to align with this triangle, it's God, me, family, business. And I say that because if I don't love me, I can't love my family properly. I'll put it in a vernacular that you understand. If you are on an airplane, when the person is instructing you, and they say if there was to be any kind of windows open or the mask would have you drop down, they say before you help your child, put your mask on first. Why do they say that? Well, because if I lose oxygen and I pass out, there's no way in Hades I can help my little daughter or my son. So therefore, I got to get myself right before I can get someone else right. Which is why no love has absolutely nothing to do with the ultimate goal being adding a person to your life. It's getting your love life right with yourself. And then adding the people.
Ooh, that was a good one. Hold on. I like that one. That's a catchy phrase. I think we could go with that. Get your love life right with yourself.
That's the ultimate goal of no love. If you listen with the aspirations of the end game being, I'm going to be married and happy, you are listening for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. This is about you loving yourself. We just talked about and dissected the whole love languages and being full, and you being the reason why your love fuel is not full, because you're responsible for how you love yourself. So again, technically, I don't say that because it's something that in my mind, that's automatic. I got me. So God, me, family, business, in that order. In that order. Because it's important to have your priorities. Now, if you have priorities, which a lot of people don't, they don't have any, again, so their decision making is just all over the place. And that's when you get to the core of what they really value and where they really, where their priorities really are. Because again, you don't know if the person is really paying attention. That says a lot about how you feel about them, that they're going hard to lose weight for this event that has other people that don't invest in them, don't care about them, to look at them. Not to mention, that says something about you, about how you feel about yourself. So you even put yourself even lower from a priority standpoint. So again, there's depth to this, but you should have priorities that assist in this decision making. But if you are giving a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of energy, and you don't have enough energy to put that same amount of energy into your family or God or what have you, then something either needs to go or you need to find a second win. Because if everything is equal, then nothing has value.
True statement.
Nothing.
Everything is equal. Nothing has value, and you
Nothing
can't make it
has value.
The source of overwhelm. To be honest, and I teach this is my subject is overwhelm. But the source of overwhelm is not making a decision. It's not all the things that's going around. It's not making a decision and putting them in a particular order so that you can handle them. That is the source of overwhelm. Just being freaking out.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing, and one of the things I think is interesting is that we have to learn what consider means. And I think what's also cool is that you have no problem saying me, I, or I'm important. And that's the source, the root, right? So the very root of that is an understanding that if I believe I'm important, it doesn't mean you're less important. It just means I know me and I'm comfortable with me. And then I can add to you, but I can choose me. That's the source of being able to say no. And I am a recovering no person. I never said no because I didn't think I was important enough to say no. I had to say yes to everything, but I don't. And it's not because I don't love you. It's just, no, I'm not doing that. And, but you can ask me tomorrow about something else because that's fine. But that's learning how to consider is something to think about. Yeah, because considering makes you have to choose, or makes you have to have an opinion, or makes you have to take an action. But it's when you abdicate the responsibility for considering is when you get this chaos that we're talking about, where I'm not sure what's going on. I don't feel it, but because you haven't made a decision, you haven't made a choice, you haven't considered your options.
Yeah.
And chose one.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Most certainly. And the deeper paradigm in that is, because you say I don't have a problem with saying I love myself, and it's not to say that I love you less, but my mentality is, if I fail at succeeding at loving myself, I failed at succeeding at loving you. So I am the benchmark. So I have to succeed. So I love you enough to love me. As crazy as that sounds, my success and failure at loving you starts with how I do me. So if I drop the ball on me, I will drop the ball on you. And I'm getting emotional because we drop the ball on ourselves so much, and then we wonder why we can't effectively love other people.
Well, we don't,
because we don't even do it well for ourselves.
Nope.
And then we get upset with other people, which really we're upset with ourselves because we're not loving ourselves. And now we're upset and we're lashing out on other people for not loving us correctly, when all they're doing is mirroring how we love ourselves.
That's the condemnation message again, sir. Just same thing.
So as selfish as people might conclude that me loving me is, and making a decision to say no to them, I'm doing it for them to be able to effectively love them. Because if I don't have these priorities in order, then I spoke when I talked last week about we spoke about, what was the topic last week? Last week's topic was, I have to see it so that I can better bring what I'm trying to articulate home. Potency, the potency of a plan B. Okay, so I said the way that you can get B through Z on top of your plan A is to have the proper plan A, because you asked about that. God and love is my plan A. Interchangeable, God and love, the essence of the root, the real truth. But the reason why that allows for me to love Zanetta correctly is because he is my plan A and my priority. So how he says that I am to treat her is how I treat her, based off of his love and also how he treats me. So through my relationship with him, I'm learning how to respond to her, but because he is my hierarchy of decision-making and living and who it is that I'm responding to. So that benefits her. It may seem, again, when you have this whole, I'm not accommodating something that's not healthy for you. So that might seem selfish because I said no because you wanted a new car. And I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with that SUV right now. I'm not getting another car note to appease you. Whereas now it's like, yo, we didn't do that. And now we're talking about going and buying our dream home and paying cash for it. But it's because of the no's that you were frustrated about that allowed, because I saw why it's necessary for us to say no, not accommodating your temporary want, because I know what we need. I treated you according to what you needed as opposed to what you wanted. But I considered that. Do you think it's not hard to say no to your children or your wife or whatever when you know that they, in their heart of hearts, want being the operative word, something? Most certainly. But if I am moving in wisdom and considering the hierarchy of my decision making, then it's for the betterment of my family, and you're just gonna have to get over it eventually. And I love you enough to not give you what you want that would hurt you right now, or hurt you in the long run. So I saw you right. We're at the end. So what you got to say? Take us home.
One of my favorite sayings, because I do like structure and process, is that structure for me brings freedom. Right? The structure once you know the sandbox you can play, and you can play freely because you know the boundaries. But when I was sitting here, what really was interesting was, the structure of our physical being, right? The fact that our soul is sitting in a structure called the physical being that has limitations, but that we're free to move and live and breathe, but we're not omniscient. And I think that sometimes when people get in relationships, they want the freedom to just be whatever and do whatever. And it's not, we can't be omniscient. You can't just be everything. You get the pleasure of working within a structure and knowing how to maneuver and really take it to its fullest potential. That is freedom within the boundaries that were given to you. And that's fulfilling.
Ironically, being okay with not knowing and realize you don't know everything is liberty.
It really is, because not trying to be everything to everybody. Like, why?
The fact that you think you know everything is actually what holds you in bondage, because now you have to live up to that, because you have to speak to what you claim you knew. Whereas it's liberating to say, I don't know much, or I don't know this.
What I know.
Or I can find out. But it also gives you the opportunity, which is what the whole process of relationship is to learn. So the fact that you've read a book to learn your mate is why you'll fail at a relationship. Because you've read that book, and I've mastered you by reading this. And the fact that you think you can master another person by reading a book, for one, says that they lack depth. For two, says that they lack evolution. And for three, it says that that you lack patience to even take the time to learn to somebody that you claim that you love. So that again, to know that I don't know is the best thing that you could do, because that leaves room for you to learn so much. A lot of people say, why you read? You like reading? No, I don't like reading, but I just happen to read a lot. And the more I read, I'm like, I don't know nothing, which makes me want to read more, because I'm like, I don't know nothing. So that's pretty much it. But yes, consider everything. And that's the thing. We don't consider everything. We already have an agenda, and we try to make decisions that align with our agenda, and we have not considered anything in it, and it causes us to make very, very unintelligent decisions, and causes us to have very, very devastating consequences, which in turn causes us to come to conclusions about things that don't align with the truth about those things, and prevents us from actually experiencing love with that person, or even with other people, because of the response based off of our manipulations and our motives that are not considering anybody but ourselves. So
I would challenge us to not always consider the worst possible end, but consider the alternative. What could be the best possible outcome of this, and assume good intent, and let that lead you.
And I dare you to consider, is what you think you want healthy for you?
Ooh, things that make you go,
Consider what you're asking for people to accommodate you with. Is that really healthy for you? Is what you're asking for healthy? Is that really love? Consider that. Those who are so passionate about this whole love language thing, consider this. Are you getting, if someone that read the book and then they start aligning with what the training was, did you train them, or do they love you? Consider that. Did you ever consider that? Let me show you how selfish we are. How selfish we are as individuals. The fact that we don't even consider that, because we're just happy with getting what we want. We didn't even consider the fact that I just trained him. He doesn't love me, or she doesn't love me. I just trained him how to do a trick that appeases me.
We heard he's just broken in. How many times we heard that? I broke him in, and he left. I went somewhere else because I broke him in.
Oh.
All right. Did we train him? Or did
On
we
that
not?
note,
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
we will prayerfully see you all in another week or so. I truly love y'all. I hope you all can feel the love that I have for you all. I hope you all can feel the prayers that I pray for you all. I hope that you all can feel the future that you will have if you are consistent and honest with yourself and honest with the process of the journey of just experiencing and living and being in love. So we meet again. I truly appreciate your minds and time. Y'all take care. Peace.